Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. I'm just sorting out my headphones. Welcome. I'll just hit record on the audio, make sure that's happening. If someone can help me out technically here, I've got my the NRL.com website on there, and it says not for commercial purposes. And it will not let me into the draw. So I've got to do the draw and all the stats from my phone. But I do have injuries that have come up on the page. And it's only allowing a certain amount of pages to be opened. So if any of you fine fans out there could actually let me know via text message there in the chat of is there a problem with iMac, why it's not letting me get into all the pages of the NRL.com. It's weird. I did it at the office prison today, and I got on easy. But so we have to work from the phone again, ladies and gentlemen. But just for the first part, let's have a look at the casualties. Get this a little bit closer. Have a look at the casualties for a lot of these sides. Keon Kolomatangi is out for the season, so South's poor season turns to even worse. Isaiah Ionely, he's out for 4 to 6 weeks with a broken hand. Katoni Katorga, Cindus Moses, that's not good either. Mitchell Moses is back on deck after 4 games with a calf injury. Latrell Mitchell quad, he may be out for some time. Cody Walker still hamstring. You don't want to rush hamstrings because when you do, they can go very easily again. Peter Mamozala's got concussion, so he'll be out. Brandon Smith still that knee, and Campbell Graham also out. Then we have prop David Mawali. He's been ruled out for the remainder of the season. Geez, it's been a horrendous season for South. Titans skipper, of course, Tino Fasamawali, will miss the month of footy for suffering from a low-grade MCL injury, which is a medial ligament there in the knee. And it looks like David Fafita has re-aggravated an ankle injury and won't make the trip to Auckland. Also, that's about it. Looking at, there's still a few more injuries here for Broncos. Jesse Arthur's ribs until round 21, so he may be back this week. Corey Jensen, calf. Corey Pike's elbow. Look at the injuries, man. Well, these are the Warriors we're talking about. Corey Pike's dropped Madden, pectoral, to be decided. Hayes Perham, Canberra Raiders, Matt Nicholson, ankle till round 22. Seb Chris, concussion, will he be out for another week? Savello Tamale, the knee, he may not be coming back until just before the semi or the playoffs. Then Corey Hariwa Naira, a seizure, medical indefinite. Well, that's not good for Corey Hariwa Naira there. Albert Hopewadi, ACL, gone until 226. Bronson Sherry, groin until round 21. He might be back this weekend. Satili Tupanua, hamstring, to be decided. It's not a good one. Marcelo Montoya, neck. Cronulla Sharks, Jesse Raymond, hamstring. And he'll be out for a week or so. Breton Nakora, concussion. Well, that ruled him out. Can you believe it? The 2 bankers we had with the Cronulla with the Cronulla game, Britton Nakora, our banker, and Billy Smith, both ruled out of the game. So there was our multiples gone on that the Friday match. Anyway, you have to laugh, otherwise you'd cry. Kale Hero is a big miss for the Sharks. He's out for pectoral until 26, 27, when the pectoral muscle rips right off the bone. It's not good. It takes a long while. Cade Dykes is out with the knee. Liam Eason, ACL, well, he's gone to 226. Mark Nichols, concussion around 22. Felice Kafusi, gone to around 22. Cody Nikarima, fingers crossed, because he's such a great player for the Dolphins. 23, round 23, round 25. Torn Flegler, shoulder, 2BC. Oh, man. God, they've got some injuries, the Dolphins. Max Platt, knee, gone until 226. Daniel Saifidi, shoulder, 226. Tom Gilbert, shoulder, 226. Jack Bostock, knee, 26. It's a miracle. They're still winning, the Dolphins. Unbelievable. Gold Coast, as I said, turnout out. David Fafita, we already talked about. Gordon Carter, Harley Smith, Keeney, neck. That's a really dangerous one. He won't be coming back for a while. Brock Gray, an ACL, goodbye until 2026. Manly Warringah, Hamawali Olakawatu, the shoulder. Round 21, we might see him very, very shortly. Maybe this weekend if we're lucky, fingers crossed. Lachlan Croker, concussion, he'll be out for another round. Josh Aloyai, 2BC, it's a shoulder there. Daniel Paseka, Achilles, that's not good either for them. Nathan, he'll be out till round 26. Paseka, big miss. Nathan Brown, biceps, he won't be back until the finals if Manly make it. Ryan Pappenhausen, calf until round 22. This is for Melbourne Storm. Cameron Munster, personal reasons till 22. Will Warbrick, concussion, he'll be out for another week. Nelson Asola Sofamana, well, we know the elbow into the guy's face, which cost us here on EPAW when the try was disallowed because of that infringement at the play of the ball there. Thank you, Big Nelson. Keep your cool, dude. You're a big dude. You got to keep your cool. So anyway, he cost us a beautiful anytime try score with Harry Grant going over at 7-2. Faialago, so he's gone until the finals. Dear, oh dear. Irema's gone. North Queensland, my God, they nearly could field a football sides of injuries here. Sam McIntyre, calf. Jordan McLean, calf. Jason Tamalolo, calf. All these leg injuries. Jake Clifford, quad. Tom Duffy, John Bateman, Helam Lukey, ACL. Tom Chester, Semi Valami. Now Murray Talagi's gone until round 25 as well. God, their season's gone. Parramatta Eels, Mitch Moses, as we know, he will be getting a run this week, hopefully. Will Penasini's been suspended until round 21. Luca Moretti, back for 21. Kilmer Tuolagi, suspended till 22. Is Isaiah Omes, as we know, is pretty much gone until the last couple of rounds. Katoni Katorga, as we talked about, St Moses gone. Cindus Moses gone. Arthur Miller, ACL, see you later. Penrith Panthers, Isaac Tayo, suspended for another round. Sonny Luke, biceps, well, we won't be seeing him back for a while. Liam Martin, wrist, yeah, still plaguing him in there. South Sydney, they could field another side full of injuries here. We already spoke about most of South's guys. Campbell Graham, he's just constantly out with injuries. His back is gone again. And they really need Cody Walker back as well. Mitchell quad, they won't be playing finals anyway. Sydney Roosters, St George Illawarra's pretty bad. Christian Tuapoloto, he did that hamstring twice. He won't be back until maybe on the bench, maybe this round or the next round. Hummy Sully, 21. Nathan Lawson, Cody Ramsey, Sione Finer, gone, I would say, for the season. Valentine Holmes, it really depends on scans. 2026, he's gone. Toby Cashman, shoulder. ACL, Ryan Cashman, gone. Dylan Egan, that was horrendous, the ACL. Victor Radley, shoulder, TBC. So we're waiting on the scans for these guys. Jake Elliott, ankle. Billy Smith, concussion. Of course, he'll miss this week's round. Nat Butcher, knee. We're down to the Warriors. Charles Nickel-Klugstadt should be coming back for this round with any luck. Rocco Berry, one of my favourite players, along with Lika Halasima. Rocco Berry, shoulder until just before the finals. That's a shame. Mitch Barnett, gone for the season. That's such a big loss. Luke Metcalf, also ACL, gone for the season. West Tigers, Dream Buller, hamstring till round 22. And Samuela Finer, knee. I'd say goodbye 2025. So let's get on to the really important things over the weekend. We'll have a look at the stats as quickly as we can and run through these 8 games. The first was for last Thursday's match, 43-24. It looked at like some stage that Dolphins, when I was watching the game, Dolphins took the foot off the accelerator, and Cowboys scored 3 quick tries with Scott Drinkwater, Dearden, and Murray Talangi again going over. But some great tries there from Oren Keeley, Jake Everett. They were fantastic in the halves. Tabuai for the hammer, of course, he went over twice. Harrison Graham, Jermaine Asako, Jake Everett had an outstanding match. Let's have a look at your top try scorers, your top tacklers here. Kurt Donahue, 50 tackles. Griffin Neem, 44. Absolute work animal. Connolly Lemuel, who had a blinder. Shame he was disallowed because we had him in as one of our main bankers. 275. Tom Dearden, 178 metres. Most line breaks there. 3 to Talagi and 2 to Herbie Farnworth. Let's go over to the team stats, and we'll see exactly how these sides won or lost in certain parts that really add up to whether you're going to win or whether you're going to lose. Of course, it takes good sides can actually have the reverse of the stats and still win. That takes a really good side. And one of them happened this week that we'll go over. But let's have a look here with the possession rate. It was completion rate of 84% to 77 in favour of the Dolphins there. Time of possession, very similar. Let's have a look there. Line breaks, 10 to the Dolphins, only 4 to the Cowboys. Tackle breaks, surprisingly 30 to Cowboys when they start to come back into it and throw the ball around, and only 25 to the Dolphins. Average set distance of another 3 metres to the Dolphins there at 50.7. Kick return metres, fairly similar, a little bit more to the Dolphins. Average time in play, we don't need to see that, the ball speed. I'll leave that for the coaches. Dummy passes, very similar. Total passes, very similar as well. Receipts, same. Kick diffusal was a little bit better for Dolphins, 47% to 40 for the Cowboys. Effective tackles, here's where some stats are going to really play into it here. Ineffective tackles, Dolphins, 25. You would think they would have lost the game, fair dinkum. And only 9 ineffective tackles for the Cowboys. Missed tackles, however, 25 to the Cowboys and 30 to the Dolphins yet again. Tackles made, 326, and another 6 more tackles to the Cowboys there, and 326 to the Dolphins. That's about it. Errors, 13 errors to Cowboys. They were just outstanding. They could. The thing with the Dolphins, they can score from anywhere in the pitch when you got hammer. The speed they've got is amazing. And it was really good for Katoa to get a bit of protection this time, because the week prior he got no protection and the Sharks just snuffed him out. So it was a good move by Coach Wolfie, and they just deserve to win. Let's go over to the next match. And the full-time score there on the Friday night was Cronulla 31, defeating Roosters 18. As I said, we lost 2 of our main bankers, which was devastating to our tickets. Although we got our money back, it was a shambles. William Kennedy went over, Teague Wilton, Nicholas Hines went over, Billy Burns, Chris Vaiala, Tupou with an amazing AFL-style try. James Tedesco and Angus Crichton went over. It was 5 tries to 3, so obviously the best side won, but you'll find out with the stats that I'm about to give you how important these stats are. Cameron McGuinness, yet again, most tackles. He's an absolute workhorse animal. 53, 46 to Fateki. Most run meters was Talagai. He's one of my favourite players for Cronulla, 180, 164 for Nafahu White. Most line breaks, 1 to Sam Walker, 1 to William Kennedy. But let's go to the team stats here. And here's where it really shone when I was watching this team stats this morning. Completion rate 81% to Cronulla and only 65 to the Roosters. They've really got to sort that out, Coach Robinson. 28 minutes in possession to the Cronulla Sharks and only 23 to the Roosters, which is 55 to 45. Not good enough. All runs meters, a lot more. They ran rings around them, really, an extra 500 metres there to Cronulla. Line breaks, 6 line breaks, Cronulla, and only 1 to the Roosters. Tackle breaks, disgraceful as far as holding Cronulla back here. 40 tackle breaks, Cronulla, only 29 to the Roosters. Average set distance, 37 metres, another 3 metres there to Cronulla. Any other things that are really jumping out of the page here? Dummy passes, they threw 43 to 31, Cronulla. Kicks, refusal. Really disappointing. There's something he really has to tighten up before the playoffs. There's a lot of sirens going off in the background that might be coming through the recording. But 22% kick defusal for Cronulla, not good. 78, pretty good from the Roosters. So very good under the kick and the bomb. Let's have a look here. The defence, 91% effectiveness for Cronulla, only 88 for the Roosters. Tackles made, 331 to Cronulla and 403. That's so much tackling that the Roosters had to do from those missed tackles, obviously. 26 missed tackles, 40 to the Roosters there. Ineffective tackles were disgraceful as well. Robinson's got a lot of homework to do if he thinks the Roosters can slip into the finals easily. 16 ineffective tackles, Roosters, and only 4 ineffective tackles for Cronulla. Errors 17 to 10 in favour of the Roosters, and ruck infringements, though, all over the shop. The Roosters 6 to 2 there. So there you go. I think when I watched the replay, they just did what they had to do, Cronulla, and they were quite good. I think there's a lot of room for improvement, and Roosters, if Coach Robinson doesn't fix up that poor defence, they're going to be in for a rude shock come playoff time if they make it. And which you would think they would, but they'd have to win the next 2 or 3 games back to back. Getting on to the next match, it was full-time Panthers 30, defeating a hapless and a severely injured side in Rabbitohs 10, 30 to 10. So let's click on that and have a look at the try scorers. Alamotti, we had him. Dylan Edwards went over. Casey McLean, we had him. Dylan Edwards went over again, and Casey McLean went over again. 2 doubles there. Liam LeBlanc, we did not have him. And Alex Johnson, we threw him in at the last second, but he was long odds on to score. So let's have a look here. And we'll have a look at the top tacklers here. It was Mitch Kenny. What do you expect, mate? He must be the best defender in the game. 48 tackles to Mitch Kenny. Jai Arrow, 46, another work animal. Most run meters, Edwards, of course, those 2 tries, 305 to Jack Whiten, 151. Most line breaks, which resulted in 2 tries, Dylan Edwards, 2 to Alex Johnson's 1. Okay, so go into team stats. And let's have a look if things jump out the page, and I'm sure they will. Let's have a look here. Line breaks, 5 to the Rabbits, 6 to the Panthers. Completion rate surprisingly was really good for South here, 92%. A little bit down for Penrith, 74%. Line breaks, as I said, tackle breaks, 42. So it was a very, very open game, but it didn't always end up in tries being scored. 40 tackle breaks, 42 to Penrith and only 40 to South. Average set distance, very, very similar. Let's have a look here. Offloads, fairly equal right across the page. South threw a lot more dummies, 28 to 16, but they were ineffective. Kicking, the defusal here, South were awful, letting the ball bounce too much, 33% and 73% to the Panthers. and so a lot better under the kicking there, the Panthers. Tackles made, surprisingly, Panthers had to tackle their heart out, 404 and 397 for South. 397 for South. Missed tackles 42 to 40, so fairly even. Intercepts 1 to South. Ineffective tackles 24 to South and only 20 to Penrith. Negative play 12 to Penrith and only 4 to South. So some strange stats there, but Penrith were just too classy, and South are basically fielding a reserve grade side. Honestly, I really felt sorry for them. We had Tallis Duncan too to go over, but we collected from Alamotti and the other Penrith player that we had, Casey McLean, but we needed Tallis Duncan and he didn't show up. But they moved him out of position, and when players are moved around into not their favourable position, it really goes against you anytime try scorer. The next game was Saturday, Canberra 40, destroying Parramatta, who started really well. They came out the blocks firing on all 8 cylinders there. Well, for them, it's about 6 or 4 cylinders. However, they're still missing Moses, and hopefully he comes back this weekend. It was in Canberra and it was freezing, as we were told on radio, 40 to 16. Let's see who we can have a look and see who tackled the best here. It was Tom Starling, 40. Why didn't you score, Tom? I was tossing up between Tom and Zach Hosking, and Zach Hosking was the one who went over instead of Tom. And they were both 5 to 1, really good prices. 49, Charlie Geimer, he had a good game, and I think he scored one. Zach Lomax, most run meters, 253. He really ran around like a chook with its head cut off. 198 for Joseph Tarpany, who was on and off the bench. The captain, excuse me. Most line breaks, Jed Stewart, 3, and 1 to Zach Lomax. Let's go to the team stats as we run through these stats as quickly as possible to show you where your side can improve or how they won or how they lost. Possession rate, it looks 81% to Canberra, phenomenal completion rate, and only 59 to Parramatta. And there's your major problem there, folks. All runs meters, an extra 400 to Canberra. Oh, I don't know where my drink is. I think I left it in the fridge. 699 post-contact meters, a lot more compared to the 471 of Parramatta. Line breaks 12 to Canberra and only 4 to Parramatta, just ineffective. Tackle breaks, this is a major concern. 45 tackle breaks for Canberra and only 25 for Parramatta. Average set distance, very, very similar. Kick return meters, fairly much the same, bit 30 more to Canberra. Just looking at the kicking here, 38% kick defusal, 71% to Parramatta, only 31 to Canberra, so they're very good under the bomb there. And looking at the effective tackles, 84% there to Parramatta, fairly good, and 88% though more for Canberra. Missed tackles 45 to Parramatta. You can't win playing like that, and only 25, so virtually half for Canberra. Intercepts 2-1 to Parramatta. Ineffective tackles 30 to 19 in favour of Parramatta there. Not much else to say. They conceded 5 penalties to 1. Not good discipline there for Parramatta. So until they get Moses back, and then whether he brings Dylan Brown back is another question altogether. I think he forced him even off the bench, so it wasn't good for Dylan Brown. But he's got Coach Riles has got some issues there, going forward. He's done fairly well with them, I must say, compared to some other coaches may have. Next game was the controversial game. It was Bulldogs 20, hanging on by a thread, defeating Dragons 18. So let's click on that and have a look at the best defenders in the game. It was Harry Hayes, 43 tackles, phenomenal. David Clemmer had a big game too with defence, 38 tackles. Connor Tracy, most run meters, 211. And Clint Gutherson, very similar, 209. Most line breaks, 2 each. One to Sione Fainu, and he's gone, I think, for the season. And Stephen Crichton, 2. I thought Steve might have scored one of those tries himself. We were hoping that he did, but he wasn't. He was a little bit too far out and didn't have the speed. Okay, let's go across to the team stats now and have a look at the completion rate. St George were very good, though. They tried their hearts out, and really, for mine, they were the better team in the second half. And that's nothing against Bulldogs or their fans. 89%, I'm just being honest here, 89% to St George completion rate and only 81 to Canberra. There's a few things here that Canterbury's coach needs to have a look at. Serraldo, all runs meters, a lot more for Canterbury, 200 more there. Post contact meters, fairly similar, 24 more to Canterbury. Line breaks, six each. Tackle breaks, 34 to 25. St George caused a lot of headaches for Canterbury, no doubt. Kicking meters, 241 as opposed to 104 of St George. And, of course, that was off the boot of Burton. Receipts there fairly even. Same with the total passes. St George threw 25 effective dummy passes to Canterbury's 11. Another one try that killed us was when Kickout was held up over the line. I was lining up at the TAB with my hand out, ready for a nice anytime try scorer there and a double. Kick defusal, fairly even there, 60-64. St George, a little bit more. Tackles made, 348, fairly even there. And only 347 for St George. Very interesting stats. No wonder it was such a close game. Missed tackles, 34 Canterbury. Serraldo needs to look at that. And only 25 to St George. Ineffective tackles, 24 to Canterbury. Some telling tales here going forward for the Bulldogs. And only 19 ineffective tackles for St George. The negative plays, 7 negative plays to St George, 10 errors to Canterbury. Rucken, for instance, St George were a little bit ill-disciplined there. But pound for pound, as I said, St George were very unlucky not to get away with that game, and Canterbury need to thank their lucky stars. Yes, there was two young guys in that final try for Canterbury. Galvin out to the winger, the young kid winger, but I can honestly say that they need to pick it up and just don't rely on just one new kid on the block. I think I'm still not convinced yet, and I'd like to see a lot more of how good this Galvin guy is. We know he's got potential. I don't know whether dropping him for Sexton, people will go, oh, yeah, but that's justice. They won because of Galvin. Let's see over the next couple of weeks, mate. They need to pick up the bit between the teeth like a racehorse and keep going forward. And there's a few stats there that Serraldo needs to really, really concentrate on. So let's go over to the next match. That was my thoughts and my personal thoughts of that game. This was another controversial match. The decision on the drop goal attempt of Lee Brooks and how Harry got pinned for it, I don't know. I can only imagine what what the super coach Bellamy was saying after that decision went against them and they won with that penalty goal. 18-16. You'll find some stats are very good for Manly here. They did play very solid. I thought Rubik Garrick had a very good game. Tolata Kola, we got money in the bank straight away with him. On the burst, he's lethal near the line. They had a lot more of the ball. There's a lot of, as we'll see for these stats here, there's a lot of things that Melbourne need to sharpen their sword up on, because that loss has now pushed them further back away from the Raiders and the Bulldogs. So very interesting going forward. 3 tries to Xavier Cates. He was a freak. One of them was like the maddest AFL try you'll ever see. Mark, Jason, Jason's Saab one pretty much was just a pass out to him. The Tolito Collar was outstanding, and Ruben Garrick was a fairly good try too. He had to use some acrobats to get into the try line. The conversion's a little bit disappointing from Ruben Garrick, so they just got away with it. It was 2-3 to Melbourne and 1 of 3 Garrick. One of them he just totally shanked. But anyway, let's get on. Half time it was 16-6 to Manly. And so really, although Melbourne hit the lead, it never looked to me like Manly were going to lay down and cop it sideways. The most tackles here, Harry Grant, 64. That is outstanding. That's close to a record, surely. 64 tackles to 46 Jazz Tavanga. So Nick Meaney with the most run meters, 221. And it looks like a name that's very hard to pronounce here. Siosua Taikahao. Sorry, brother, for your name. Taihakaho. I haven't heard of his name before. Most line breaks there, 2 each. Xavier Coates and Tolito Collar. Outstanding game from him yet again. He's been a mainstay for us for 2 years here at every point's a winner. Now let's have a look at the team stats as we're running through all these games, and we're nearly at the end now. Possession, 52% to Manly, 48% to Storm. Time of possession, 90% to the Manly and only 67. A big worry for Bellamy there for Melbourne. All runs meters, surprisingly, Melbourne ran 100 more meters. Post-contact meters, very similar, a little bit more to the Melbourne Storm. Line breaks, 4 each. Tackle breaks, surprisingly, Storm, 27 tackle breaks and only 15 tackle breaks to Manly. Average set distance were fairly similar, a little bit more to Manly. Kick return meters, 187 to 162. Just having a look here. Offloads, a lot more offloads because they're playing catch-up football to Storm there, 9 to 3. Kick defusal, 73% to Storm and 62% to Manly. Yeah, you can't let that ball bounce. You really need to attack it if you can, under all circumstances. 95% effective defence for the Storm, surprisingly, and 90% to Manly. Well, going into the game, I did give them half a chance, but I honestly thought Storm would have done a lot better. So Manly, that's a big win for them because going forward, they need to keep on winning back to back. But going forward, that's really good form for the next couple of weeks, with all things being equal for them. Okay, let's get on to the next match. And we're nearly wending our way to the end here. We've only got the 2 games to go. Oh, this game was an absolute, I don't know, it was like watching paint dry at some stage. There were so many mistakes in the match. It was 21-20 decided by Adam Dewey field goal. He's been outstanding the last 3 or 4 weeks, and I take my hat off to him. I know Scott Pearce-McLeod is one of his biggest fans, and I honestly think that he's been outstanding for them. And yes, he missed the goal that would have won them the match anyway, but the field goal was phenomenal. It was flat as a biscuit and went over the crossbar, spiraling in a strange spinning fashion. It was really a miracle kick because he didn't have time. It was a bad setup, but he still won them the match. Okay, let's have a look at the most tacklers here. If we go down the page, Terrell May. Actually, I thought his younger brother, what was his younger brother? We'll have a look at the try scores in a minute. I know it's another May. Well, I think it's Tyron May. 40-50. 50 tackles for Sam Verrills. He is an outstanding defender for the Gold Coast. 40 for Terrell May. Now, the older brother, If we have a look at the try scorers here, yeah, it is Taylor May, what I call him Tyron May. Taylor May. There's so many difficult names in this NRL competition. Gerald Skelton went over twice. Jalen de Groot scored twice, really good. AJ Brimson, just you can see how brilliant that player is as an individual and a team player. And Philip Sami killed us um, because we did not have Philip Sami. Every time I have him, he never scores. Every time I don't have him, he will score. So he's just one of those players. And of course, we had Jaden Campbell. I haven't been able to pick up Jaden Campbell scoring one try. He set up a couple of beauties, and one of them was Tasami out on the flanks there. Let's have a look at the team stats, and we'll find out some telling statistics here. 29 time in possession, 29 minutes to Tigers, and only 23 to the Titans. 76% completion rate here for the Tigers, and only 72 to the Titans. All runs meters, another 300 more all-round meters there for Tigers. They were running rings around Titans at some stage in that match. Post-contact meters, an extra 80 or 90 there for Tigers. Line breaks 8-4 to the Tigers. They really should have beaten them by a lot more when you have a look. When I looked at the highlights, the extended highlights this afternoon, they were so close to scoring try after try after try. So Titans scrambled very well in defence. Average set distance, fairly similar. Anything else standing out there? Dummy passes, 5-2 to the Titans there. They're pretty much ineffective. Tackles made, 340 to the Titans. No wonder they were gassed, and only 298 to the to the Tigers. Missed tackles, 41. No wonder Desi was kicking chairs and spinning everywhere. 41 missed tackles there to the Titans, and only 23 missed tackles to the Tigers. Intercepts 1-0 to the Tigers. That's about it. The negative play, 14-12 in favour of the Tigers. There, 14 errors to 12. But the Titans, penalties conceded 8. Very ill-disciplined penalties there to 3 for the Tigers, 8 for the Titans. So that's about it. We'll get on to the next match. Those guys have now solidified that Tigers will not get the wooden spoon, thank goodness, for the 3rd or 4th year in a row. And it looks like Desi's boys are charging up for it with South, fighting off for the wooden spoon. That will be very interesting. Okay, the last match before we wrap it up here. You know all the ins and outs of the sides going forward for Thursday's game. We'll have a look at that on Thursday. This was a heart-rendering game for the Knights, and in fact, the start of this, the advertisement that I used, a live screenshot of Lika Halasima's try with 2 seconds to go to full time was amazing. The charge down, and he still had a lot of work to do. He had to put a sidestep on, and then he still had to fend off 2 different tacklers that were trying to stop him from going over, but his momentum made him slide over. Brilliant, brilliant player. He has been 120% for us every time we play Lika Halasima, and we always get him around 5-2, 3-1. We used to get him 4-5-1, but not now. He's a prolific try scorer of the greatest nature. Okay, so let's have a look here. Fletcher Hunt went over in the 21st. Dane Gagai 25th. Marju 30th. Pompey went over in the 7th. Dimitri Vaimunga. Geez, I was really entertaining Vaimunga. He was really good odds. He went over in the 49th. He's a monster. Tanner Boyd had a hot and cold game, didn't he? I mean, God, he could have won it for him without going to that Lika Halasima try and missed a goal straight in front. But anyway, it was just one of those games. How Knights lost it, I don't know, because if we have a look at the stats here, we'll see how unlucky they actually were. Phoenix Crossland, 47 tackles there to Wade Egan, 37. Was that a double movement, Wade Egan's try? I think we've got to go by the rules, and the official said there was no try. Anyway, it was just a very, very exciting way to finish the round 20. And let's have a look here. Most line breaks, Dane Gagai 2, and Roger Tulbaza-Sheik 1, who I thought had a brilliant game yet again. The veterans just keep on shining on in that New Zealand side. Let's have a look. It was a vital 2 points for them because they were still running fourth, and they need to solidify a top 4 position, if you ask me, going forward. Let's have a look at the team stats before we wrap it up here tonight. And it was possession 51% here to the Warriors and only 49% to Knights. Time in possession 27 to 26, fairly similar. Let's have a look at the all runs meters. Another 100 metres more there to the Warriors. Post-contact metres were very, very similar, though another 50 there for the Warriors. Line breaks, 6 to Knights. I mean, they bombed 2 or 3 tries in that early part of the game. At least 2 tries they bombed clearly from the wrong decisions. 6 line breaks to 3 for the Knights. Tackle breaks 30 to the Knights, 24 to the Warriors. It was only the Warriors' scramble defence that kept them in the game, and the clumsiness of Newcastle Knights. But they got so many injuries, so many vital players are missing. They were going no good anyway before those injuries happened. This has just solidified their season. It's been horrible for them. Kick return meters here, an extra 60 there for the Warriors. So a little bit more hunger there. Though pound for pound, they tried their absolute hearts out, Newcastle. And also, don't forget, they also had the virus that they were carrying into the match. They had a virus, and it was one of those bugs where you can't keep any food down. So it was a miracle that they could field a side at all. Okay, kick defusal here, 45% to 56%. Very good there for the Knights. Effective tackles, 88% to the Warriors and 89%, so fairly even there for the Knights. 226 to 253. Knights had to make another 30 tackles. That started to gas them at the end there from their poor handling. Missed tackles there, 24 missed tackles and 30 to the Warriors. Ineffective tackles, 19 to the Knights and only 14 to the Warriors. Negative plays, 9 to the Warriors and 9 to the Titans. Anything else we need to see? Surprisingly, they only used 6 of their 8 interchanges, Newcastle. I don't think he really had anyone else on the bench that was fit. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Having a quick look at the ladder now. I don't know why I've used the iMac. It's a beautiful computer. I use my editing computer, and the NRL site on this will not let me look at these figures. So I've really got to strain my eyes to look at this tiny phone. But let's have a quick look at the ladder as it stands before we wrap it up. Thanks for joining us today. Please like and subscribe. If you don't like it, at least leave a comment, because otherwise the algorithm keeps on throwing us to the bottom of the pile, and people don't pick up on actually joining, and we don't get noticed enough. I'll be commentating quite a few games in the playoffs, and that's going to be really, really good fun and excitement. And we hope to get Scott Pearce-McLeod involved in the call as well. He did an outstanding job along with Axel for the end of the State of Origin series. So let's have a look now at the Raiders on top. with 34 points. Second is Bulldogs with 32. Storm third with 30 points, a slightly better for and against than the Warriors on fourth. They're both 30. 4 points behind them, a little bit of a gap as I was talking about why that was an important win to the Warriors. 4 points ahead of the Broncos on 26, who are fifth. Sixth, 1 point behind the Broncos, breathing down everyone's neck as the Panthers. That professional team that just keeps on getting it done. And they rested two of their superstars on the weekend and they still played very professionally. And it's a big worry for every side that's left in this competition. So they're on 25 points in sixth, Panthers, then 24 points in seventh as Sea Eagles, which is 1 point behind Panthers. So that was I was going to say, a very important win for the Sea Eagles although it was controversial, over the Storm. A very important win because they're on equal points with the Sharks, who are eighth. So there's your top eight. And they're 2 points in front of the Dolphins, who are just outside running ninth. And then we have the Roosters on the same points in 22. Major concern for Dragons. They're losing ground. They're going back like a horse with a bung leg. 4 points now because they just keep on losing the games they shouldn't lose. I felt sorry for them, but they're 4 points behind the Roosters now in 11th. Their season could be dusted. They'd have to win every match. I'm not saying they can't, but it's starting to look a bit leg weary for them. West Tigers, 18. Geez, I could have swore I heard an interesting noise then, like a voice coming through my headphones. Cowboys, 17. So the Tigers and Dragons on the same points there. It'd be interesting to see if West Tigers could jump over their old foes. Cowboys on 13th, 1 point behind them. Knights, 1 point behind them. That win was important for them just to save a bit of face. Rabbitohs are equal to the Knights on 16 in 15th. In 16th, second last, also on 16 points is the Eels, and 2 points behind them is Titans. Really fighting to not get the wooden spoon. I'm thinking it's going to be between South, Parramatta, obviously Knights with all their injuries, and Titans, but Titans are favourite to get the wooden spoon at this stage. There's still enough time for these sides to do something, but you've seen the top eight. There's that little gap happening between the top four. There's 4 points now between fourth position and fifth position. And then it's quite compact from Broncos down to eighth, which is the Sharks. Very, very interesting competition, but it's starting to work out the way we think it will. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us today. God bless. Take care. We'll be back on Thursday with some more anytime try scorers. We had a couple of good collects on the weekend, but we finished behind because a couple of our players got knocked out and also got replaced. Some of them were injured. We didn't have much luck, and there was not much luck next door either. So, going forward, let's get some good collects this weekend, and may the best sides win. We'll see you on Thursday. Thanks for joining us. Axel Phillips for every point's a winner.